channel. I'm your host Seraphine, and from our previous conversation on mental health, I'm here with these beautiful ladies that will take us through to the next series of mental health. And allow me to introduce to you my guest. She will brief us on what we are going to discuss on this session. Madam Sylvia.
Thank you. Hello viewers. My name is Sylvia Osewe. I'm an educator. I'm a counseling psychologist. And I am here today so that we are able to discuss mental illness, especially in lockdown. Right now we are in lockdown. So many things are happening in families. And one great concern that we have today in each and every person as a concern on what mental illness is doing to people. And so we are here just to talk about this. So today we are going to talk about mental illness in lockdown. There are people with mental illness, there is lockdown, how are they surviving, how are they coping? There are people who don't really know whether they have mental problems or mental health problems, and there are certain symptoms they are having and they may not realize that they're having a problem. So this is all we are going to talk about so that we are able to know what's happening around us, and if there's a way we can help or we can cope, then we will learn how to do that. Otherwise, I will give this chance to Daktari so that she will take us through the first stage of this discussion.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. Thank you very much. Thank you, Seraphine, for yet another opportunity to continue with this discussion and continue a very important conversation that is so much needed, especially at this time. We've gone through a difficult time as a nation, as the whole world. So today we just want to look at some of the struggles the actual struggles that people may be going through that now have been made worse by the latest lockdown that we have gone through. And I will begin by just mentioning, because of the lockdown, the schools have been closed. Those who are still in session, of course, were closed. The schools have been closed down, and it is just coming to. It's a concern because I'm imagining that mother who has a child who has some mental illness or psychological issue that they've been struggling with. How are they affected right now that the children are at home? And I'm particularly looking at some of the psychological disorders that are common amongst children, especially today. We have disorders such as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which is commonly referred to as ADHD. And then we also have, we may also have children who have autism, and we also have children who are struggling with oppositional defiance disorder and even conduct disorders. These are just some of the few disorders that children may be struggling with that may become a lot more difficult to manage at this time when now they're locked in, their routines have been disrupted, the support system they've been getting has been terminated because now people have to stay indoors. Probably, say for example, a child who has autism has a caregiver. So maybe special arrangements have to be made because of the lockdown situations and so on. So what are these disorders that I'm talking about? Maybe I'm mentioning ADHD and somebody is wondering what is ADHD. They probably heard about it, but they don't know exactly what it is. So when we talk about ADHD, which is, I've said, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, just when you picture those words, there is an attention deficit. So that means this child has a very short attention span. And then this child may also have hyperactivity. So, and you may have a child who has both. Now, ADHD has different types. There are different types of ADHD. You may have one child who has both attention deficit, so they have a very short attention span, and they are also hyperactive. But you may also have a child who is just hyperactive. So it can come in different combination. But that group of disorders is called attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So what are some of the characteristics that we see in these children? So some of the, of course, let me go back a little bit and say it is a neurodevelopmental disorder. So it's a disorder, that means it's a disorder that affects the brain, the way the brain of this child functions. So that's why it's called a neuro. Neuro is part of the brain. Now, developmental comes in because it is noticed in the child during the early stages of development. And it also interferes with the development of this child. So that's why it is called a neurodevelopment. So it affects the development of the child, the physical development, the cognitive, the brain development. So the way this child processes information is totally different from the way what you call a regular, or if, for lack of a better word, a normal child will process information. So the characteristics you may see in this child are, like what you call inattention. They're not able to pay attention or to hold their attention. They have an extremely short attention span, so it's very difficult to hold their attention. So they have inattention, and then you will more often than not find them very disorganized. They're very disorganized. So even if you have them maybe in a room, you'll find they're not able to organize themselves. Their things are all over the place. So there's that disorganization. Then you may also find them being very hyperactive, highly hyperactive. And I'm not talking about the usual hyperactivity where children between 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even up to 7.
Terrible too.
Yeah, the terrible twos, We're not talking about that, where especially like a child has drunk a bottle of soda, or they have eaten a cookie. Of course, the activity levels are going to go up, and they're jumping up and down, jumping on your sofa.
So that's normal.
That's normal. That's very normal.
Going up.
Yes. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about a consistent and a constant and a sustained hyperactivity, even when this child has not eaten like a high sugar food. So they're constantly hyperactive, and it's very difficult for them to sit in one place. So there are children who, when you're with them, for example, in this setup, they are all over the place. So, and they're not children that you can even tell, so sit down and be quiet. They're not capable of doing that. So because it is a disorder, they have no control over how they are going to behave. So that is where we are now saying that is a concerning hyperactivity. Then they might also be quite impulsive. They do things without thinking. Yeah, they just do things. They just and this might present itself in different situations, in different forms. So you might find them beating other children without thinking about it. Maybe they're not.
So sorry, Dr. Yes. Normally, we would ask parents, especially Africans, we're like, kids, those silly things they do. Sorry, don't mind about my language. Those silly things they do, and we are like, we excuse them. Ni watoto tu. We excuse them just for being kids. So at what level do you start seeing that it's just not a kid, this is a danger sign, or this is now on another level? Because you've talked of consistency.
Yes.
Naturally, any kid, I know every parent is wondering, any kid, naturally, that's the nature of kids. Being in a messy environment, destroying things, climbing like what we just mentioned, and we tend to push this to more of boy child. Boy child again, they suffer so much because you say, because he's a boy. So he climbs like on this mess, will be all over. So at what level? do we start seeing that this now is a kid that needs extra attention or has a condition?
That's a very good question, Seraphine. You start getting concerned, one, when this is going beyond, you know, we know how our children grow up, okay? And we know that, we know how a terrible two is supposed to behave. We know that at, by the age of maybe 3, 4, 5, you are able to now control the child and tell them to stop doing something, and they will listen. And they comply. A child who has like a hyperactivity problem, they will want to comply, but they are not able to. Yeah,
It's beyond
it's
them.
beyond them. Yeah, it's beyond them. So it will not be difficult to know that this child is a little bit beyond, and especially when this going beyond now the age of maybe even 5, 6, 7, and you're seeing a consistent pattern. And then it's all the time. It's not like maybe after eating, after eating a high-calorie food, or when they're excited and their friends are around. So they are consistently hyperactive. So even when they're with the other children, the children are sitting down, maybe they're watching a cartoon, they're not able to do that. Yeah. Or even if the TV is on there, but they are here, they are there, they're climbing, So it's not a difficult thing to notice. But I would also want to emphasize, without me going deep into giving the exact criteria, I would want to emphasize that when you see as a parent that you have a concern that your child maybe is a bit off, it would be good to visit a pediatrician who will probably refer you, and maybe express your concern to the pediatrician, and they will probably refer you to a psychologist or a psychiatrist to confirm, so that we do not go diagnosing children. There are children who might even just be more hyperactive than others.
So all this we are saying are not an clinician. They don't have to be specialists. They are able to help to guide you now to the right path.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when you go for visits, it's good you ask. When you go for those clinics, you ask. When you go for those consultations, you ask. You tell the clinician you meet, my kid behaves this way, this way, this way. They're in a position to guide you to the right path.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And they're even able to pick. They're even during the visits. They're able to pick those things. Yeah.
So there is hope.
Yeah. Daktari, there could be a concern with the parent who is not able to pick out the disorder in the child. Yeah, and I think their parents were not able to pick that. And maybe people will start complaining about their children.
Oh yeah, my concern too.
And they wonder why people are complaining about their children. And what would be the problem? Because their parents, people would complain about their children, and they wonder why people are complaining.
And actually you feel offended.
And they feel offended. And they wonder why you are saying their children.
You don't like their kid or
You don't
something.
like their kid. What could be the problem? Because this is something that even a layman out there can see in this child. This child is not acting normally. This activity level is just out of place. But there is a parent who either does not see this or does not want to accept this or what's going on.
So I think you've mentioned something very important there, that even the person out there is able to see that this is it's not a normal level of hyperactivity. So therein lies, the ability to diagnose these issues or to pick it up. But now you're asking, why is the parent not accepting? Why is the parent taking offense? More often than not, it's very difficult for us parents to admit that our children could be having a problem.
True.
It's a painful place to be.
True.
And we want to be in that denial space as long as we can. And we keep hoping that, they'll grow out of it. They'll grow out of it. So for me, I think the main issue here is the denial. The denial comes with fear, because we don't know. What does it mean when I accept that this child has a problem? What does that mean?
The impact.
The impact. What would that mean? Will I be told to take my child to a special school? Will I be...
That's another problem.
Yeah. Will I be told to now start giving my child some medication? Can I even afford that medication? Will I be told to go see some...
Or did I fail as a parent?
Thank
Was
you.
the mistake mine?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, did I do something
Wrong.
Yes. Yeah. So there are so many factors there that could make a parent not even want to start thinking that their child could be having an issue.
It's terrible.
So it's difficult. So that is why you can imagine now, during this pandemic, such a child, you're cooped up with them in a house. Maybe you're not in a position to even have the child go out. You don't have a place where the child can expend that energy. So you can imagine how stressful this can be for the parents.
The resources could be limited.
Exactly. Yeah. Not everyone has the opportunity to give their children, that space where they can play. Maybe you live in the 12th floor of an apartment, and you have this child
in a single room.
Yes.
No.
So
I'm thinking.
Yeah. So you can imagine the kind of stress this mother still has to go out to look for bread and butter for this child.
It's a challenge.
Yes. So this child is left at home, maybe with if they have someone assisting them in the home,
Or other siblings.
So I can only imagine how difficult that must be, especially right now, when at least when they were going to school, you hand them over to the teachers are handling them, and the teachers, of course, maybe have a little more knowledge and a little more expertise. The parent doesn't have that.
Then that brings to my concern. No, how is this parent supposed to handle this? Now that scenario you just created on a 6th storied apartment, the single room, she has to go out, not her alone. Of course, the dad is obvious. The daughter could be a single mom.
Yes. Yeah.
They have to go out, they have other siblings, and with a kid with that kind of condition that you've not even accepted that he needs help, you're still in that space of denial. How do we reach out? How do we help this? How do we give hope to this parent, to the kid, to the people around? Because even the neighbors will be complaining, no one can visit.
Yes.
And remember that now that the space is so small, the problem is even bigger because this child is stressed. Yes. The problem is even bigger. It's even greater than before lockdown because the child was able to go to school, was able to go around out there. They were able to meet other children, be in other spaces. Right now, they are in this confined space. So I'm even imagining that the problem is even greater than what it has always been.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. The child definitely. Sylvia, thank you for bringing that out. The child is even more stressed. They are in higher. Their distress levels are higher.
So what are simple things that's okay?
You're asking a very tough and a heavy question.
Make it lighter. Because we need a solution.
I know.
We won't leave someone stuck.
Yes.
You've made it now. I'm sure someone watching this will agree with me that now the problem even looks more bigger. You are comfortable in that denial. Now that you know the truth, they need to give us direction, right? Yeah, tell us. I mean, somehow think.
Wow. I'm trying to think, and I'm also just wondering how to help this mother who is struggling with such a situation, or not just ADHD. There could be any other
condition.
Child with a special need. Okay. Some of the simple things that this parent or these parents can do is have a conversation around it. Look for somebody, and maybe they may not have access to a psychologist or a counselor. but you could talk to someone who you can trust about the distress levels that have now gone higher. Look for somebody that you can first start this conversation with. That, oh, I saw this, and this is the struggle that I'm going through right now. It's really stressful. I'm really going through a difficult time. Because once you share a problem, you get some relief.
And actually, I think that's what we mean by therapy.
Yes.
You see, I think most of us are oriented in a way that we treat therapy as a breakdown remedy more than a maintenance remedy. So you don't have to come to experts like you for therapy. So just sharing with the people around you is still therapeutic.
All the support systems we have around us
It's big.
a lot more than going sometimes to see a psychologist, because not everyone has access to a therapist.
So please save us the stress and save yourself from the headache of need to afford, siwezi pata, how watu ndawapata wapi, you don't have resources. Sharing out to the people around you, the people who love you, your neighbors, family, support from them, the saying, it works.
Yeah.
And it's available. So reach out.
Yeah.
Reach out.
It is important to reach out because even when people say that I can't afford it, I can't do this, I don't have money, but when you start reaching out, you will realize that there are even psychologists who are able to help you for free.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Honestly.
There are psychologists who just want people to be well. Yeah. I am a counseling psychologist. I do what is called positive psychology. And positive psychology is about helping people to be well before they get there. Before they get into that problem, before they get into that mental illness. We do not put people in a situation where we sit and wait for people to go mental illness so that we start helping them. Why won't we equip people with skills, with attitudes and knowledge
To save us from the
save us from sinking into that situation? Because sometimes when people sink there,
coming out,
fishing them out of that place is so difficult. Very difficult. Some of them go completely. Or even when we bring them back, they may never be the same again. And the things that are lost during that time, some families break down. Families break down. People lose their children. People lose their wealth. They lose so many things. So if we are able to equip people, then it is better to do that so that so many things that could be damaged are not damaged. We stay where we are. We learn to be able to...
better be safe than sorry.
Better be safe than sorry. So people should not coil saying, oh, I cannot afford this. Reach out. You never know. You will
So
find
your
someone.
gospel is reach out before we sing.
Yes, reach out.
Those things we ignore, those fears we have of what will people say, how does it look like, judging yourself there. The thing is reach out and save yourself from more damage.
Yes.
Wow.
Sylvia, I like what you have brought across, which really builds on to what even our organization, Navigators, is all about. We want to help you navigate through life.
Nice.
Daily life stressors. That's what we want to help you navigate. So, and we have a preventive approach. So that, they say that prevention is better than cure.
Sure.
Yeah. So a large part of psychotherapy should be about equipping people with coping skills. So that we don't let somebody reach the depression, we don't let somebody reach the panic attack that we'll probably be talking about. We don't let somebody reach the severe depression or the deep ends that she was talking about. So this mother who is struggling, reach out to a friend of yours, a confidant, start talking about the stressful things. Let's not bottle up things, thinking that people will judge us, people think. Talk about it. You never know. You will get somebody who will give you a lesson in you. So that is a good start.
Yeah.
Then from there, you'll even find somebody who can now guide you on where to go next. Like our referral hospitals have services that are affordable for these children. You don't have to go to an expensive psychiatrist or psychologist. They have affordable services that are even covered by NHIF, I believe. So you don't have to sit back with your child suffering. Take them for proper assessment so that they have the right diagnosis, so that you're given the right guidance on how to manage this child going forward, so that this child can live a more fruitful life.
And just like you had said earlier, that this stage you can start observing as early as from 1 year.
Yes, 2
You
years.
start seeing those.
Yes.
Postnatal clinic is supposed to be attended up to 5 years.
Yes.
So from where, I'm now thinking that this kid, if at all we are religiously following, the most religiously, because many of us parents, we give up. When we're just done with the injections, we disappear. If you made a follow-up, I'm sure, then whoever you are meeting will be able to notice that. You'll be helped earlier.
Absolutely.
And something else I would like to add on that. Even when this child is ready to go to school, many parents have been told by their teachers of their children that there is something about your child. But they don't, the teacher points out and they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. They don't want the teacher to talk about that. There is nothing wrong with my child. If a teacher points out or any other person points out that there's something wrong, just try to look at that thing. Just try to look at it.
There's tendency of even parents transferring their kids to schools when the teacher starts.
Yeah, when the teacher starts, this child is this way, maybe this child needs help, they move to another institution. And in school, if you really talk to that teacher, you'll realize that in every sub-county, we used to call them districts, in every sub-county, there is a special needs department in the education office. The special needs department has put up assessment centers for children who have different mental illness problems or just difficulties.
Are they working? They're
there. They're there, but people don't seek such kind of help. So if you liaise with the teachers after they have told you there might be something, you don't have to explain yourself. You may just ask them, how can I help my child? Where can I get help from? Those assessment centers are able to show what the problem
They'll help you.
They will help you, and they'll refer you to the place where you can get help. Nice. So even if you don't go to the hospital, there is hope. There is hope.
So it's because people are in denial. People don't want to. I like what Sylvia said. Be open to listen to what people are saying. They say that where there is smoke, there's got to be fire. Penye moshi hapakosi moto.
Because I'm thinking a crude and manual way of dealing with such kids. Sometimes in pige, when they hit them, and you assume they will change,
and they make the condition worse.
You
make the condition worse.
Hitting them worse and
or
some even lock them. So not playing with other kids. When you go like birthday parties, they're left at home.
Not too disruptive.
No, you don't want to be disturbed. Sorry. Oh, sorry, babies.
And that still makes it worse and that's why the government is really talking about what we call inclusive education.
Absolutely.
So that the children who have special needs are not separated from the mainstream population, because they would not know how to live with these other people. And those other children will not know that being a child with special needs is just a child, like any other. So when they are separated, when you do not want that child to go and mix with others, they would not know how to live in the society. And society will not know how to live with this child. So even as a parent locks the child and doesn't want them to get out, they are limiting this child's life.
Exposure.
The child, because she will grow, he will grow, and will be required to be out there. How is he going to cope? He needs to know how to live with people, even in that condition.
It also, the mainstreaming that Sylvia is talking about also reduces one of the major side effects of our attitude towards mental illness, which is stigmatization. So the mainstreaming reduces stigma. So we get to understand that that we can reduce the
They also
stigma.
have special gifts.
They have special gifts, they have the same needs, they also just need the love and the attention and the care that the next child needs. Yeah. So locking your child up because you're embarrassed that they're going to be disruptive in a birthday party, or you're doing that child so much disservice. You're hurting that child, and in the process you're also hurting yourself, because of course you're also suffering from guilt. Yeah. So we have a lot of work to do.
A lot.
So and this goes for other disorders. I've just talked about ADHD. There's other special needs children like autism. The main issue around autism is these children are not able to, they're challenged in terms of their social responsiveness. They're not able to reciprocate, the social interaction. So they're not able to read your emotions. And then, so you may find them just when people are in the house playing, maybe when they have siblings, the child you'll find playing at a corner alone all the time. They don't want to interact because they don't know how to interact with other people. They don't know how to read emotions. They don't know how to express themselves, and they may have additional challenges because some of these childhood disorders come in, what you call comorbidity. They come together. So you may even find, unfortunately, a child has maybe autism and they have inattention, an aspect of ADHD.
It's even double.
It's even double. So it even complicates the situation even more. So then the other characteristic that you may find in children within nowadays, it's called the Autism Spectrum Disorder, because it's a wide spectrum. Children are at different stages of that spectrum. It's a continuum. So from mild to severe. So depending on the degree of severity, you will find a child at any one stage. So you may find a child who is has an aspect of some characteristics of autism. So they are in the spectrum, but they are quite functional. They even have a relatively high level of interaction with the other children.
I think those are the hardest even now to identify.
Yes. Then you may find one who is probably in a more severe level, who is even so keen on the repetitiveness. Now, these are the ones who, especially during the lockdown, they are highly affected because they were used to a routine before. Then now you want to disrupt this routine. You have to start explaining to them that, okay, now school is closed.
And you're forcing them.
So, yeah, even if you're not forcing them, because you have no choice. School is closed, you now have to stay at home to go to school. So it becomes very stressful because you are disrupting their routine. The children in the autism spectrum who are so keen, they want to wear, the same cloth. Some of them on the extreme, they want to wear the same type of clothes, so you may even be required to buy the same type of cloth. Because that's what they want to wear.
So I want to cut you that time.
Yes.
I think just what you've mentioned, I remember the incident that there's a lady friend of mine, she does this with special kids, she's a teacher. And I remember after the previous lockdown, when the schools, when it was now the schools were being open, she was so worried as a teacher, and I could not understand. She was so worried because she's imagining now those kids actually from her words. Sasa watoto wanarudi, tena tutaanza tu from zero. It's like they come with another energy. Actually, she was talking of other kids even punching them. They become so wild when they come back again. So tuning them back to the system. So I think moving them away, then again from there, they're used to routine.
Yes. You've put it very well. The concern of that teacher, very valid, and you can imagine it's also the same concern that the mother could be going through. Because for such a child, of course, the mother also has to be educated on how to handle this child. So you've built a routine. Then all of a sudden, now this routine has to change.
She was putting, the parents were so excited. They were even calling, bringing them back. Yeah. No, like they feel safer in the hands of the teachers.
Because the teacher is specialized. The teacher is a professional and trained to handle these children. Most parents are not.
So I think that parents should be trained. If you have a kid with that condition, you need some education.
You need some, not just some, you need proper training. You need psychoeducation. That is why now you need to visit professionals to tell you more about this, the disorder or the struggles of your child, just to educate you on what this autism is all about, what ADHD is all about. You know, if, for example, your child has even something like a learning disability, what is it? And how can you move forward with this child to make them live their full potential? Because just the fact that you have a disorder or a disability doesn't mean that now you drop off the system, you are put on the side. And that's why she's talking about mainstreaming. They have,
I think mainstream is the ideal thing.
Yes,
I like it. Yeah. Whoever came up with that, that was so thoughtful.
And for parents or whoever is handling or dealing with children to know that my child doesn't have to perform or do the things that the other child is doing so that we believe that they are doing well. Each and every person has their potential.
You embrace them.
Yeah. So long as a child reaches their potential, even if their potential is 20%, that is good enough. They don't 100%. Each and every child has their
This
potential.
I think applies to all parents, not only
all parents, not even not
we
parents.
put a lot of pressure on these kids.
Exactly. It's not for parents with children with special needs or mental illness. It is all parents. In fact, it's everyone, including adults. Including
Potential.
adults. Each and every person has their potential. I may be performing at 40%, and that's my potential.
I should be proud of myself.
Yes.
I think we suffer too much. We set the goals, we challenge ourselves with others.
And you know, that is sometimes a source of mental illness.
Absolutely. What?
Yes.
Some of the sources of mental illness that we have is because we want to perform beyond our potential.
So this theory of every day, we are like healthy competition, what we are just trying to make it sound better.
Yeah.
Or that's normal. I don't know.
Competition is okay. But one thing we need to understand, you need to know yourself.
Self-awareness.
Yes, self-awareness.
You mentioned that.
Self-awareness. Understand what you are capable of doing and what you're not capable of doing.
Wow.
Once you understand yourself, even if you go into the healthy competition, you know how far you can run.
Yes.
Yeah, you know how far you can run. So that
you will be so hard on yourself.
Yeah, you know how far you can run. There are people who will do a marathon. There are people who can't do a marathon, but they can still run. So run your race once you have understood who you are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now
You're putting it so easy. I wish it could be that easy.
it's okay. It can be made easy.
It can be made
It can
easy.
be made easy. It can be made easy by us accepting to open ourselves up to listen. And this is where now psychologists come in. Psychologists are not just there to treat depression, to treat anxiety when you've gone the other end. Psychologists are there to also help you lead a healthy daily life.
But you remember I mentioned to you last time, you know, it's not, I think we need to do extra awareness. That's the reason I'm happy you subscribe to this channel. If you are new here, please do. Because now see what you're learning today. Not everyone is aware that psychologists are out here to help us.
Yes.
You know, we put them in a corner somewhere.
Yes.
And actually, we even don't know where you are, you people. We only...
Here we are.
Majority of people, they're here. Very pretty, by the way. No, so, you know, that mentality of psychologists, even sourcing for you people, you know, it becomes, you have some cocoon, we placed you somewhere. So you need to do awareness. Thank God for this channel, of
That's
course.
why we are here. That's why we are here. We are coming out.
Yeah, please do. Come out with big boards. We
Yeah,
are here for you.
We are here.
Because the thing is too much.
Yeah,
Too much.
Yes. So yeah, that's like our organization I mentioned earlier. Navigators.
Navigators.
Yeah, daily life navigators. We help you to navigate your daily life challenges. You've quarreled with your husband. You're angry. You're so upset, you are crying. Come, let's have a conversation about this. What is making you so angry about this? You know, you've quarreled with your adolescent child. The adolescent has quarreled with the parent. Come, let's talk. Let me hear, what is this quarreling? What are you arguing about? What is your mom doing as an adolescent that you don't like? And how can we make this? How can you understand your mom better? That's what we are all about. That's what counseling is all about. That's what psychotherapy is all about. And then now, in case now somebody has also experienced the extremes and by bad luck or because of the circumstances they've gone to the other end, then now we also handle the deep end issues. Now,
and even when life is good, come. Let's talk about how good life is.
Being excited is also a problem.
No, it's not a problem. Come, we talk about that rejoicing. It's important for us to talk about that rejoicing because you will not rejoice forever.
You're scaring me.
No, I mean, there are times when we rejoice. There are times when we rejoice, and there are times when we don't rejoice. So share with us what you are rejoicing about, and then we will help you.
Actually, what you've just said serves as the notion of we look for you. I've just told you that we look for psychologists when things have gone end.
Share your strengths. Share those things.
We should normalize.
Exactly.
We should normalize checking with psychologists.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because when you are happy, when you come with your excitement and talk about your excitement and the good things that you are able to do, a psychologist will even help you to build more on those things that you are doing, so that you remain doing those great things. Exactly.
Therapy for maintenance.
Yes.
Therapy for maintenance.
Yes.
Because
not for breakdown.
Not for breakdown. There are good things you are doing, and maybe you do. You know, sometimes we do good things by default. We don't really know exactly how we came to that place.
Are you already there?
But we are there.
So you'll help me now stay there.
Exactly. I will help you know the strengths that have pushed you to that place.
Yes.
And will help you to understand how you will use those strengths to keep going up. So we are not just about waiting for people who are, and then people tell you, am I going to a psychologist? Kwani, am I
mad?
Thank God you know.
Yes.
So you only sought after when things are...
Yeah, and then because people do not want to accept the fact that there is mental illness, and they look at mental illness as something that is so strange, something that is...
Actually, the stigma.
Because of the stigma,
it's just too much.
then psychologists are just associated with... In fact, I believe most of the times people believe psychologists will judge you.
Yes.
When you come in, they look at a
She
mad
should
person.
tell you my first encounter with her. I even told her, no, I'm sure you're reading my mind, you know.
Yeah.
This is what people say.
People say psychologists read. We are not about reading people's minds.
We can't read your mind until you tell us what you're thinking.
And then we interpret that which
I've said.
We don't read minds, we just interpret things. The things that you have said will get us to what's going on.
Yes.
So people shouldn't fear psychologists.
Yes.
Come share your excitement, come share when you are stuck.
So
Come share
please
your
work with
struggles.
tags. Work with tags. I'm a psychologist. They work with tags so that we can identify, we spot them.
Oh boy.
We don't know where they are.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Yeah. So I liked something that both of you have brought up about potential. So one other disorder that parents struggle with, and it's not even to the level where it's a disorder. Our children's potential. You mentioned that we compare. We compare a lot. You know, every parent wants their child to be, a champion. So we compare a lot. But then we also have children who are abled differently, intellectually. So you may find a child who is only able to perform to the level of, if I may give it, to the level of grade 4. So you cannot push this child beyond the grade 4. But it doesn't mean that now when this child reaches grade 4 and they can't continue, they can't conceptualize, they can't understand what a grade 5 is doing, you drop them off the system.
Yeah.
No, you let them continue and finish up to class 8. Meanwhile, you look for the other strengths that they have. Somebody was sharing with me about this girl who, she has learned how to read, but she's very good with hands. Yeah, she's sorry. She's able to knit. She's able to weave.
Gifted.
Yeah, she's very gifted. So I was encouraging this person to concentrate on the strength of this child and make sure you applaud them when they do well in those areas, so that they also feel included, inclusive. What she was talking about. Now, speaking about the issue of comparison, it moves me to adolescence and lockdown and social media.
Why?
Yeah. We are on lockdown. The adolescents are home. Now, who is their best friend? Social media. They spend all their time on social media or watching TV. So, especially one sad thing that has happened to this generation is we see other people's lives online and we think it's their real lives. So we start comparing ourselves with that and we want to live up to that standard.
Social media pressure.
Social media pressure. So our adolescents, we were talking about mental illness during lockdown.
Yes.
And some of the psychological issues that are coming up.
Yes.
One of them is, social media addiction. Our young people are becoming, because now they can't go out to meet their friends, they're chatting online. I was hearing that some people chat up to 4 a.m.
They
All
transnight, some transnight
chatting. So some of the factors that are driving this is something, it was coined during the social media, fear of missing out, FOMO. You don't want to miss out. But what is this doing to you as a person? Because imagine if the whole day, the whole night, you are seeing certain people and you're longing for the kind of life they have. This will affect your self-esteem. Once your self-esteem is affected, your self-worth is affected. Because you're comparing yourself with their images that you're seeing. You see, people posing in different positions. You don't know outfits. You don't know where they're getting this. Maybe they've gone to a shop. Maybe their mother has a clothes shop. Maybe their big sister is working and has all these beautiful shoes. But then they're just an adolescent. So you start comparing yourself and wondering, what's wrong with my life? Oh my, what about me? Why is my life so miserable? I am not worthy. I'm not beautiful enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not, So what this leads to is low self-esteem, low self-worth, which can progress into so many mental illnesses. This is where now we get people slipping into depression. Because you start having this thought, this negative thoughts start playing in your mind.
They start now even hating their home, their environment, their life, themselves. Yeah. Now how does this potential, I want to connect this to the potential of knowing your potential. It will save you from all this, because self-realization, you realize that when I'm watching the things I'm viewing here, I also have my own, I'm who I am.
Yes.
You don't have to be the person I'm following, the person I'm watching.
Absolutely.
But also I remember in our previous conversation, you talked about mental health also has got so much on what we consume. So this too much, however much you know yourself, I think it reaches a point, there's a limit. That too much exposure to this social media and the person you are fancying, you fantasize. Until you now want to be a star.
Yes.
And you realize you are just sitting here with one short pair of panty, you don't have one. You've watched this guy within 1 week, he has like several and still pulling more and more.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
it starts,
It's terrible, right?
it's
It's
horrible.
terrible.
It's horrible what this is doing to our young people, and especially now during the lockdown. So imagine you're cooked, at least when they're going to school, they have the rest of the day
They're
to get
engaged.
distracted, they engage in other activities. But now they're home. So this is going to be open season.
And with the ordinary energy of adolescence,
Yes.
other things are happening to them. A
Yes.
lot of changes. And
Yes. So they're also dealing with a lot of changes. They're dealing with issues of self-image. They're dealing with issues of self-identity.
Identity.
They're dealing with their families, because we also have a lot of conflict in the families, which will inform the kind of identities that our young people, get to understand. How do they get to understand who they are? Do they even understand? So this is why we're talking about self-awareness. But who is teaching our young people to be self-aware? Is anyone talking about it?
Yeah. Because a young girl would ask the question, you hear a young girl saying, why, for example, why don't I look like so-and-so? Yeah, why don't I looking at that person, I want to look like that person. And that's really what's eating them inside. That's what's bothering them. But the answer is so simple. Because even in families, their children would ask, why don't I look like so-and-so?
Or why isn't our family like
the other family? Yeah. Or why am I dark and so-and-so is light? And that is a problem that would bring an adolescent down.
Yes.
Yeah. Why does so-and-so look like she's so beautiful? I am not. Why?
And you as a parent, you can't even understand this.
Me, I want to be like that. What will you tell your child? The answer is so simple.
Yes.
The answer is so simple because that's the way that child is. That's who they are. That is what they were meant to be. If they were not that way, then they would be someone else. So we are talking about when a child starts saying they don't want to be them, they want to be the other person, then what they are simply saying is they don't want to exist. Yeah, they don't want to exist. Like they don't want, they are not.
They're not proud of.
They are not happy that they were born. They don't want to exist. But most of them don't know that part. If you tell somebody that by saying that you want to look like so and so or you want to be so and so, then it means you are saying you are not supposed to exist. They really want to exist. They really want to exist. But they just don't know that when they say they want to be like so and so, then they mean that they don't want to exist. So when they become self-aware, then they realize people are different. People are different. And I don't have to be like so-and-so. I have to be me because that's what I was meant to be. If my hair cannot grow, and so-and-so has hair that reaches this place and dark and whatever, that's how so-and-so was meant to be. I am meant to be with this short hair. And with this short hair, I can walk around and be as beautiful.
So
when
were we, sorry to cut you, my dear. So when were we supposed to tell these adolescents all this? Are we saying a young person who is already going through this state, is that parent late?
It's never
Or
too
is
late.
that time when they start asking, then it means that person, that young person, the adolescent, is already in a crisis?
They are really in a crisis,
Yes.
but it's never too late.
It's never too late.
And
Thank
you are
you.
asking,
Thank you.
when were we supposed to start this?
Yes.
We are supposed to start this right from birth. Right when, what are we telling our children as they're growing up? How are we raising our children? And I'm not shifting the total blame to the parent because
Yes.
there are other environmental factors.
Yes.
I've just talked about social media. So you have a war against the social media. As a parent, it's a serious war. Because adolescents, by their nature, they thrive on what their peers are saying. You as a parent, you're almost non-existent. And what you're saying does not matter. You're old, what do you know?
They admire the peers.
Yes. So what their peers are saying is very important. But now, how they will navigate this stage will depend on what foundation was built as they were growing up. Was this child affirmed as they were growing up? or they were a rejected child, or they were maybe the parent was not there emotionally for them, you know. So they never felt the love connection, the emotional satisfaction that they need to feel. Was this child securely attached to their parents? So we have a lot of issues.
Just mentioned, and it reminds me. When we talk of parents, we give them affirmation at early stages. I've encountered a number of people around us and friends. This particular parent, for example, they had a very good, they have had a very good relationship with the kid, and they have been friends, and the kid is just doing well, and just from the blues, the kid starts now accusing, feels sense of like the parent is no longer like the same, you know, he's reading like the parent is not the same, she needs more attention, it's like the parent doesn't show the affection like before, but now, you know, the parent is torn apart, it's like, I'm actually now doing more than what I used to do. How does such a parent deal with this? Actually, both of them need help, right?
They need help.
Now,
yes.
how do we help both?
Now that's
to
how
strike a balance.
That is now where they come to our chair as psychologists, so that we have a conversation. We'll be doing what we call, that's like a form of family therapy, and there are techniques that we use to get deeper, to get to the bottom of the problem. What is the foundation? Why is this child suddenly feeling the way they are feeling?
So at that stage, already you should be on your table, your desk.
Yes. Especially when the mother is now feeling the parent is feeling helpless. Lord, I'm doing everything, I'm even doing more. And the child is continuing on the other side saying, no, you're not doing enough. So, you know, you just talking, maybe even another parent would not even know what to tell this mother, for example.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so this is where you need a professional help. You need professional help. You need a professional to come and be, you know, be a negotiator between the two of you to help you unpack what are the underlying issues. There could be an underlying issue that to them is hidden, they are not able to see. Yes. So this is why we are here.
So at that moment, is that not what you call identity crisis? Or what is identity crisis?
Possible. Yeah.
And you know why it's not easy for us to say this is what this parent is supposed to do.
What is identity crisis? I think we begin from there. And we deal with adolescents, you mentioned. Potential and identity crisis.
Identity crisis, you see, adolescents, when they're now coming of age, like I said, they're dealing with so many issues.
Yes.
They're dealing with peer pressure, they're dealing with a lot of changes in their bodies, the hormonal changes, the physical, the biological changes, okay? And they're trying to find out, who am I? Who am I? Why am I? Why am I here? Why do I look the way I look? Why am I doing the things I'm doing? Why am I being told to do this? Why am I not doing? You know? And why is our family like this?
So many questions.
So many questions. So they are in a stage where they're trying to understand themselves, who they are. What is my identity?
And to add on that, why are they trying to understand themselves? They are trying to understand themselves because they are moving from childhood. They are moving to a place where they need to take control of their lives. They need to make decisions for themselves. They need to do things for themselves. So they are moving from childhood where they depend on you as a parent.
It is a critical stage.
Yeah. So they want to know who they are in this space, so that they are able to take care of their lives. So that's what brings all this.
That crisis.
This person is not a child. This
not
person
an
is not an adult.
Yes.
So who am I?
Yes.
Because there are times a parent will tell an adolescent, you are a child, you can't do such things. Then there is this time that you tell them, you are a grown-up. And you can't behave that way. You are a grown-up. So she's a child, he's a grown-up. Who am I? Identity crisis.
The reason for all these questions now.
Yes. So they're also torn, you know, they want to, like she said, they want to break away from the dependence. Because they want to be their own person. Yet they realize that they still need to depend on you.
Yes.
They still need you. So they'll throw these tantrums around, they'll be like, yeah, I can do my own things, I cannot. still have
It's
to
not
go back
working.
home.
Yeah.
I don't even have a place to
To go,
stay.
yeah, to stay.
So I still have to go back under my mom's
It humbles them.
Yes. Then they want this, they want this, they want this. Oh, I don't have money. I still have to go ask mom or dad for money, you know. So they are torn. These people are going through, you know, so much turmoil at this stage. And that is why as parents, the best we can do is just be there for them.
I'm feeling for the parent already.
Yes.
When all this is happening, because you've just thrown a tantrum, you've thrown words how grown you are, and then next minute now you want upkeep.
Yeah.
No, you go through these stages where you have this stage of one word answer. You're asking, how are you? Fine. How was school? Fine. Are you okay? Yes. Are you hungry? No. Do you want food? No. What? They're not talking to you.
And these people, previously you were
chatting,
Chatting.
you were having fun.
And you haven't done anything.
You're asking yourself, now what have I done? You've
and
done
when you
nothing.
meet them with their friends, they're chatting,
Oh,
they're very
happy. Yeah.
Two different
Yes.
people.
Yeah. So for me, this lockdown has really, I was thinking about it, has really messed up. It has really affected the adolescent even more because these are people who depend on their peers. They depend on hanging out with their peers. They depend on, you know, their peers' opinions, you know, comparison. They compare themselves a lot. Let's go to the, you know, for those who live in towns, let's go to the mall. For those who live in maybe in a country, let's meet at the shopping center, you know. So they thrive on interaction. They thrive on personal interaction. So when this is cut, oh, this is hurting these children.
So I'm sure even the parents are feeling it, the heat at home.
Of course. So the parent has to now deal with all this pressure at home.
So how are we supposed to manage it now? That's why they are now pushing out social media again.
Yeah, so they now hide behind social media. So some of the things we can do as parents is just get them to a point where they understand that it is not their fault, it's for their own safety that they stay indoors, that they cut down the levels of interaction, and empathize with them. Tell them you can only imagine how difficult this must be for them. Don't tell them you understand. Yeah. Don't tell them you understand. You don't understand.
Yeah,
You don't understand. Then keep reaching out. Keep reaching out.
Yeah, it's true, you don't understand. You know, sometimes we tell them, I was an adolescent once. It's true, you were an adolescent once, but you were not her. You dealt with your adolescent, your adolescent stage your way, and she is dealing with her adolescent stage.
Even environment.
Yes. So no two people can go through adolescence in the same way. So even when we tell them, I was an adolescent once, no. Yes, you are, but your own way. The things that she's dealing with, and the way she's dealing with them, and the way she feels about them is quite different from the way you.
I think we mess on that a lot. I'm guilty as charged.
Yeah.
Because we always remind them, age to repeat. You always remind them how there's nothing new you're going through.
Yeah, it's nothing
And
new.
I think we also push them too much. No, I agree. You know, you're like, we want them to be like us.
Yeah. It's a natural tendency
It's a natural
for parents to want their children to behave in a particular way, to be a certain way, and a lot of us also try to live our unfulfilled dreams through our
In the
children.
Oh,
Yes, where maybe I was growing up, I wanted to be a lawyer, and I didn't manage to be a lawyer, so I am pushing my child to go and become the lawyer that I never became. And you're putting pressure, you have to perform this way in school. So remember the comparisons that we are talking about, the potential. Learn your adolescent's potential. Get your adolescent to understand that you hear them, you notice them, you know. Make contact with your adolescent every single day.
Even if they're ignoring you.
If they're ignoring
yeah.
you, reach out.
Reach out.
Be in their face. Make it a point of having some conversation with them. Just checking.
My ladies, you see, at
Do
the
you
at the same time, no, I'm the adolescent by
Yes,
the way.
yes.
Now let me be them. No, you're telling us reach out, parents. You know, parents are really in a corner here.
Yeah.
The adolescents are telling also the parents give us space.
Yes.
You know that, right?
Yes.
I need space. Like mom is all over me. You know, you reaching out, they see it
Perceive
negatively.
it like you're all over them.
How do we strike a balance? I just ask, I give food and disappear.
No. It's okay.
Because right now, she or he might be saying you're all over him or her, but this stage will pass and they will remember. There's a young man in my village who asked his father, why am I like this? How was he? That young man dropped out of school and he became a thief. Yet the brothers have gone to school, they have gone to the university, they have good jobs. And this young man is in the village, breaking into people's houses and stealing his
Village worker.
Yes. So one day, after being beaten thoroughly by mob, he asked his father, why am I like this? Then his father told him, I took you to school, you dropped out. I took you back, you dropped out. You refused to listen to me. Then he told his father, why didn't you try harder?
Sorry.
Why did you give up on me?
That's now tripping, you know.
Why did you give up on me? You should have taken me back to that school 1,000 times.
What?
You should have not given up on me. Now look. So don't give up on that child.
No, I'm just trying to be the parent. I've told you now. She
Yes.
said, I'm not adolescent again.
Yes.
I'm not the parent.
And now you are the parent.
You see, these kids, let's talk of a family of 7 with a single mom. With single mom to be a widow or something. So when you are struggling of, I take you to school, you drop out for discipline cases. You know, natural resources are minimal. I could not have enough to take you back. And again, you see, there's that feeling of siblings. You feel that the bad one is being given more attention than the good kids. I don't know if you're being
That's true. That's true.
Normally, these indisciplined ones, we feel like parents give them attention, they pamper them so much. And you find a good child, of course, mean discipline, a good child feels neglected. Like you are left on your own.
That's true.
Naturally, it brings conflict.
Yes.
So me, I'm already at the conflict. Because now we are in lockdown, you're 5 of you, you are giving me hell, or you won't talk to me. I'm trying just to reach out, I'm trying to be nice. You're giving me attitude, you lock yourself in the room, there is food in the kitchen, I've provided. You have other siblings who are even could be younger, and then you want to make it sound like you are not loved. You know, don't you think that parent also, I mean,
Yeah, that parent has a point. That parent has a point. But just as I said, this is a period that will not last. That is what the parent should remember. It is a period that is not going to last. And what makes it very difficult sometimes to deal or engage with these adolescents sometimes is what Dr. said earlier. What foundation did you lay?
foundation?
Yeah, because children, and we always say, engage with your children. Tell them things when they can still listen to you. That period or that stage where what mommy says is the gospel truth, that is your time to build your child. You have been given time to build your child.
Which age is this? Remind me, because I don't know. Am I even great? Or am I still safe?
Some research says that up to the age of 7, that by the time the child reaches 7, you're done raising.
You're done raising them.
Really?
Yes, that is, some research says that.
Yeah, and I agree with that research. If you want to know that, just go to your the teachers who have taught your children in lower primary. They would tell you that when children are from preschool, or what they call PP1, PP2, they come to grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. Whatever the teacher tells those children is gospel truth.
True.
Those
Even
children,
pronunciation.
yes, those children will do things the way they have been told.
They follow religion.
They follow religiously. That is the time. That is the time to do everything and tell your children and teach them what you want to teach them. By the time they move to grade 4,
You're done.
you're done.
You're just polishing.
You just polish it.
Yeah, you just
And it will
beating
look
at the
exactly, and it will look like everything you said is lost. But remember, it is not lost. It is not lost. It will look like it is lost, but it is never lost. The child will go on. They don't want to listen to you. They want to do this. They want to do this. But that which you put in store is what they are depending on. That is what is bringing them back home. So if you do that within that window, then you're sure, even if your adolescent is not talking to you, they have something they are referring to. They have a pot that they are drinking from. Don't worry, this stage will pass.
Is there a scripture in the Bible? When you teach your children the ways of
train your children the way you want them.
and when they grow up,
They will not depart.
They will not depart from it.
Yes.
so you would encourage even the adolescents, those who are following this, if you find a bit the barriers
Yes.
to open up to your parents, sharing to a person near you, a
An
trusted
auntie.
friend, a family member, is a good move.
Yes.
So don't die yourself there, don't confine yourself. Reach out to someone who will communicate to your mom or your dad easily.
Yes, thank you. I think you've put it so well.
So well.
You've
Yeah.
put it
I
so
think this will serve
well.
us because not all of us are oriented. Remember you talked of foundation.
Yes.
Not maybe all of us were given that
Exactly.
foundation.
Yeah.
Of you are easy to talk to your mom about your relationship because those are the challenges of drugs. With this kind of ceremony, with the lockdown, you find few people who are around you, you've never been friends.
Yes.
Maybe you stay in the same court. Those are the people you are comfortable as peers, those are your friends, but your parents don't approve, or your guardian does not approve of your friend in the court.
Yeah.
You see, they are now in a crisis.
Yes.
So feel free, you share to an uncle, to aunt, share to mom, share to dad their story, so that you're like, Mom, those are the people I'm now with. So parents, we should also be flexible. I
Yes.
think parents should also be flexible.
We should be flexible.
Yes, so as we were talking about lockdown, mental illness, and the adults, and we have talked about enforced togetherness, this personal space has been enforced. It's as if people have been forced to come together. We have also seen conflicting views. Somebody thinks things are supposed to be done this way, the other person thinks things are not supposed to be done this way. This brings a lot of conflict. We have talked about conflict being there between the parents and the young adults, the adolescents, the children are wondering what's going on, and sometimes they get mixed up in all these. There's financial worries that sometimes a job has been lost and somebody has not come out clearly to the family that this job that is lost, or they have come out clearly that a job has been lost, but the reception of the message is not quite what the person expected, and so there's pressure, there is stress, and all these things can lead to anxiety, they can lead to depression, they can lead to people reacting in ways that people have never imagined. And we were discussing earlier on, probably that could even be the reason why there is an escalation in domestic violence, or quite a number of disagreements that are happening in families today. So even as we finish this session, what we are saying is that when we are in the lockdown, even as parents with children, because we talked about children earlier on, even as parents with adolescents, young adults, and as parents ourselves, we need to really understand the situation around us and find ways to cope. And sometimes people cope in different ways, but the thing that we need to do is that we need to seek help when we realize that things are going out of control. Because when we want to cope, yes, sometimes we might want to cope, but there's a way we cope that will even trigger more problems. So there's a way we need to understand that now we are going towards a place where we might trip and get into depression, we may get anxiety, we might get different reactions that maybe we were not ready for. And especially thinking about the fact that even as adults, there are people who are living with partners who have mental illnesses. Yeah, and it has become difficult even to handle these people at this particular time. Those partners who are living with their spouses with mental illnesses, I can imagine how difficult it is. But reach out when it becomes difficult. Do not just keep quiet and die with that problem. There are people out there, psychologists out there, they are close relatives, friends. Just speak. You will find someone to talk to help you, even to seek further help elsewhere. Yeah, that is all we can say for now in this session.
Action.
Well, guys, we've been talking about mental illness, and we've been looking at mental illness that affects us most especially during this time of the lockdown. And we just looked at how people who have different challenges may be struggling during this time. And during our session, we've seen how we're just encouraging you to reach out, seek help. Don't die alone with the challenges that you're going through. If for mothers who have children with any special needs, children who are struggling with maybe some disorders, seek help from professionals so that you don't struggle alone. There's help out there. Don't struggle with whatever issues you're going through. We've talked about adolescents, and we're just encouraging parents to not give up on their adolescents, despite the fact that they're going through a difficult time with their developmental stage. Don't give up on your adolescents. And then we've also looked at the couples. Talk to each other. Involve somebody. Involve a third party. Don't die with your issues alone. So that you can be supported while you're trying to while you're trying to solve the problems. Because this journey, you can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. You definitely need the support of professionals. Mm-hmm. Professionals like us, as daily life navigators, we offer a range of psychological services. We offer just working with you, supporting you through the challenges that you're going through in terms of psychotherapy. We offer career counseling. We offer assessments. If you have a child whom maybe you want to take for assessment to determine whether they have a challenge, you can bring them to us. We can help you support your adolescents or work with your adolescents in a more amicable way so that you are happier, so that you're living a happier life. Even with your career, you can come, we talk, and whatever psychological challenges, we can guide you through them. We are located at Karen Village, ACC Center, room 6, so you can reach us there. Our phone numbers will appear in the YouTube channel down there, so you can check out our phone numbers and our email address. You can reach out to us. And also, if you are watching this channel for the first time, we want to just encourage you to like us, subscribe, share with your friends, so that as many people as possible can get this important information. For us, we want to put the message out there. Mental awareness is really big, and like we say, prevention is better than cure. So it's better we nip these mental issues in the bud. And this YouTube channel is all about bringing to light some of the things that we've been finding difficult talking about. So subscribe, like, share. We will see you next time, and thank you very much for looking at this.
So even as we have come to the end of this session today, if you have watching us for the first time, subscribe, like our video, share with your friends, show us love if you love this video. And we are looking forward to having another session with you. So share. Like us. We will have you in our next session. Thank you for watching. Love you.